in the time of Chanukah. So Chanukah is a holiday that the Chazal created. It's mainly l'halal u'hodos. It's to praise and thank Hashem for the miracles He does for us. And specifically, we thank and praise Hashem for the miracles He did for us in the times of the Chashmonaim, with helping us retake control of the Mitzvah of Mikdash, and with the miracle Hashem did for us with the menorah, making it last 8 days. One of the questions they ask about Chanukah is, how come we don't have a mitzvah to have a Seudah on Chanukah the way that we do on Purim? The main teretz given is because Purim, they were threatened with physical annihilation. Even if they would have chas v'shalom tried to become like the Persians, it wouldn't have saved them. The Haman had a decree to wipe out all the Jews. As opposed to Chanukah, the Gezeras of Antiochus were to get the Jews to give up their faith. They were not looking to wipe out the Jewish people. And it's interesting when we have, on the one hand, from a historical perspective, we have that the Greeks had their Hellenistic culture, which drew in many, many Jews. Unfortunately, I heard a crazy number, like 90% were swayed to it. But Antiochus, I guess his chiddush was to create gezeras, to try to be mavatel, to try to nullify the mitzvahs of Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh and Bris Milah. They wanted to show the Jewish people that that the Shekhinah wasn't with them anymore, and they wanted to show the Jewish people, they wanted to give the Jewish people that impression, and they made different gezeras that would try to target things that bring the Shekhinah into our homes and make a separation between us and the Goyim. And they say that's part of the Vart of Chanukah, when Hashem made the nace of the menorah, of the candles burning for 8 days. Hashem was very much showing us that the Shekhinah rests among us, that He comes very with tremendous love towards us. Because they asked the question, in a sense it was an unnecessary miracle, because Tomahutra B'tzibor, that they really would have been allowed to light with tamei oils, and I believe that's the main answer. The Pnei Yeshua in Shabbos gives that answer, that it was a miracle of love. It was a miracle that showed us how much the Shekhinah rests among us. And that's the approach of the Mishnah Brura from the Levush. The Bach in the Torah brings down a different idea a little bit, that he says on Purim, the main gezerah, the reason why Hashem decreed this on us was because we were nene miseudah shel Achashverosh. So they benefited from the Seudah Achashverosh, therefore it was decreed on them to wipe them out, I guess a physical annihilation, because there's a punishment for a physical crime. And therefore when they did tshuva, their tshuva involved physical affliction and involved fasting, as Esther gathers everyone together. And therefore they made it as a day of Mishtens and Yom Tov to remember the Nes. By Chanukah, however, the Gezer came about because of his Srashlu Ba'avodah, says the Bach, because they relax in the service of the Beis HaMikdash. I don't know if he's referring to the Hellenized Jews. I suspect he's probably referring to the part of the Jewish people that remained from. So therefore the Gezer on them was a Gezerah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the Yavanim to be Mavatal the Avodah, that stopped them from doing the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. As it says, that there were gozer on them to be Mavatal from the Tamid, and they said, there's one mitzvah we really have to target, and then we better wipe out the Jews, and that's the menorah. That's why they specifically were Matame, the oil, to stop the Jewish people from lighting menorah. They thought that had a special significance for the Jewish continuity. And then when the Jewish people did tshuva, and they were moser nefesh for the service of Hashem, and in order to, Hashem, through the Kohanim, Hashem saved the Jewish people and returned the avodah to them. And then the miracle was done through the candles. Because they had been moser nefesh, they'd be willing to die for the sake of the avodah, therefore Hashem brought them a miracle in the form of the avodah. And so therefore the whole holiday is centered around the Halul Hodos, which is Avodah Shebelev, which is the praising Avodah Shebelev, referring to Tefillah. So the Bach is just pointing out the Midah Keneged Midah, that because the Jewish people had sinned with food and drink in the times of the Purim Seudah story, that's why they were threatened with physical annihilation and Kadosh Baruch Hu brought them salvation, and then we celebrate with food and drink. And in the times of Chanukah, they were lax in the avodah, and that's why Hashem brought them punishment in the area of being mavatal the avodah. And then when they were most nefesh for the avodah, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought them back the avodah. So underscores Hashem's midah keneged midah, and we have to take the lesson to strengthen our avodah, especially in the times of Chanukah, to bring the light of Torah into our lives more, to bring the power of tefillah and avodah, in that form of avodah shebalev into our lives more, and try to go and utilize this time for good things. Just close with 3 practical points. Chanukah is obviously a time to be mechazik in Torah Shebal Peh, meaning to reinforce our Mishnayos Seder, our Gemara Seder, our Limud Be'iyun Seder, if we can, to try to strengthen ourselves in those areas. Rav Melech Biderman talks about in the area of Tefillah, based on the Maharal's idea that the idea of candles burning for 8 days is Amalim and Ateva. He says that in the area of prayer, we can in fact, normally we're not supposed to daven for miracles. Davening for a sick person to get better is not davening for a miracle, even if the doctors gave up hope on him. But in general, we don't daven for miracles. He says Chanukah is a time where Hashem comes L'malam and Ateva. We can daven for miracles. The Hasidim like to talk about the idea that the Shekhinah doesn't go above, is always above 10 Tfachim, but the Chanukah licht are below 10 Tfachim, that the Shekhinah comes special to us, special to our homes, and it's a special time that we can daven. And the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch brings an idea that Chanukah, we should be marba in tzedakah, because it's a time to be misakein blemishes in the soul through tzedakah. Specifically to poor people who learn Torah, to strengthen them is a worthy cause to give tzedakah to. Just some thoughts. May we grow in Chanukah together. Have a freilichen.